Hello, security pros. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on today's ESA webinar, From Dispatch to Dollars, Running a Smarter Security Services Operation with NetSuite. As part of ESA's ongoing commitment to delivering real business value, ESA has partnered with Oracle NetSuite to offer members exclusive, discounted access to its cloud-based ERP platform. In this webinar, you'll see how NetSuite helps unify service operations and back-office functions in one system. I'm Ana Magallon, a marketing specialist at ESA, and I'm excited to lead this webinar today. Before we dive in, I'd like to provide some tips for those of you joining us on your first ESA webinar. Welcome. You will be muted for the duration of this session, but that doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you. If a question or comment comes to mind at any point during today's session, click the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen, and I'll ensure we save some time for your questions with our experts today. We will also be recording this webinar so you can rewatch the on-demand session and share it with your colleagues. Tomorrow, you'll receive an email thanking you for your attendance today with a link to the recording. In addition, we're calling all security pros who are ready to take their career to new heights. Don't miss out on the opportunity to join us at ESX 2026, the premier event for electronic security and life safety professionals. Registration is now open for June 1st through 4th in Irving, Texas. With engaging sessions, valuable networking opportunities, and cutting-edge technology exhibits, ESX promises to be an unforgettable experience. We at ESA realize your time is valuable, and we appreciate you spending some of that time with us today. So, without further ado, let's get the webinar started.
Hello and welcome to NetSuite for Security Products and Services Companies. Today we'll be covering some of the challenges facing the industry, as well as providing a product demonstration for NetSuite. Before we begin, let's get into some of the challenges and overall solutions for NetSuite. Now, for a security company that's selling products and services, these are some of the key challenges that we hear out in the field. First, the lack of reporting and visibility, whether it be on things like project profitability, where we're tracking projects maybe outside of the system and not understanding all the costs and revenue associated to those, to handling recurring revenue and being able to sell subscriptions to our services, and being able to understand the revenue coming in and also forecasting that out into the future. Variety of areas where it's difficult to get that type of data. Now, getting into more of the purchasing and inventory side, having manual processes in place where, one, we don't have an idea of maybe the inventory on hand. Again, if it's in disconnected areas, not being able to support a team that's out in the field where they can check what inventory they might be able to pull from while they're out working with customers and then maybe even initiating the purchasing. And transitioning over into the mobile field, again, having field techs and having a mobile app to be able to have a checklist and be able to track and capture all the details needed on those site visits. Now, as it gets into field scheduling, resource coordinators and managers having a centralized tool, visualization of where the team's at. We're down to by the minute scheduling each and every day and being able to understand who has capacity, being able to pull in locations and really make that an easy process. And again, I'm kind of underlying some of the last area here is really having siloed systems. So again, having maybe projects tracks somewhere, our field techs are using another tool or application. It's not tied into financials. Makes it very hard to have visibility into what's going on for the overall business. And to kind of hammer home that point, again, when we're talking with companies that are providing products and services, certainly within the security space, this is typical type of environment that we might fall into, and having silos for their ERP and financials to how they're handling things operationally. Projects is elsewhere. Field service is another tool for tracking. You may have a different CRM and sales component as well. And so that's what really brings in the value is that unified system to run an entire security business. So again, tying in financials to our inventory and operational teams, being able to leverage the field service capabilities and tracking the field techs, doing all the scheduling and inventory ordering or purchasing, of course, the CRM and sales component, and then being able to track the project work. So if we're doing installs or need to be able to capture the overall profitability, having all those details directly within NetSuite as well. And by the way, we also have AI that's embedded into the application. That's an area of focus that we're continuing to evolve NetSuite to include a AI user experience. With that in mind, really the advantage that NetSuite brings in is having all that unified data. We've been collecting that as long as we've been around, and really, again, from sales and CRM information to your orders, all the financial components, projects, data. We have all of that historically, and being able to leverage that within our extensible platform to start to build in AI optimized experiences for enhancing the end user's experience and providing agents to make things easier, having more insights, recommendations, and really sprinkling that throughout the overall application. To give you kind of an idea, again, here's where NetSuite offers a significant advantage to our customers. It's a strong foundation that combines the infrastructure needed to support AI and really at scale with the services and applications that a security business is going to need to run their daily operations. Now, pivoting over into the product demonstration, just to set the stage for you, here's a typical process flow that we see NetSuite use by security companies. Again, starting more from the CRM and marketing side, whether that's lead gen or working with existing customers and being able to have full opportunity tracking and doing the quoting, that's going to turn over into our orders. And then we're kicking off some different processes. But again, the power here is that it's all in NetSuite. So if we're selling products, being able to pull from inventory, and or if we need to do drop shipping and go through the purchasing process and recording serial numbers for the items that we're selling to our customers and tracking that full fulfillment. And then, of course, invoicing it to our customer. And then we have the other components that you're seeing below, from the field service tracking and being able to capture the time. And again, having an environment for our techs to do additional ordering or pulling from inventory and being able to track the costs of those and kick off those processes, to our project work if we're doing installs and being able to set that up in a structure with a schedule and defining how we're going to bill it out, whether it's fixed fee or time and materials, and automating that entire process. To our subscriptions. So again, if we're selling any sort of recurring subscriptions and being able to capture that, track renewals, and do all the billing. So again, having all of that unified really streamlines all of these operations. And what other better way to show it than let's get into a product demonstration.
Hi, everyone. Really excited to be here today with 3X Logic, Jack, and Securitas Healthcare, EMEA. These gentlemen are here to tell us a little bit about their company and their journey on NetSuite so far, as they went through an evaluation, how the businesses have leveraged NetSuite into the future, and some of the things that they're contemplating taking on, further as they make more investments in their business in and around NetSuite. So to kick us off, Jack, can you tell us a little about your background and 3X Logic?
Yeah, Jack Snodgrass. Hello, everyone. I'm the CFO, or the finance leader, for what we call the Securitas Products and Solutions business. Let me step back and tell you a little bit about the company. Securitas AB is a global security business, right? It has two key divisions: services, which is traditional guarding business, and our Securitas Technology division. Securitas Technology is made up of electronic security. It's made up of healthcare, which EMEA is from, and it's made up of the products and solutions business, which I represent. The SPS business, or Securitas Products and Solutions business, it's a global business. It's a manufacturer of commercial security products. We go to market through dealers and distribution channels, and Securitas Electronic Security is our largest dealer. The security industry, it's a large industry. It's $100 billion in addressable market, and it has four key segments within that industry. And the SPS business, play very well in three of those, and that is intrusion, or what we would call burglar alarms, access control, and video management. SPS, we provide a unified solution across those different disciplines, and we go to market under four brands: 3X Logic, Paycom, Sonatrol, and Instantel. Stanley Security was acquired in July of 22 by Securitas, and what came with that was the Stanley Electronic Security business, the healthcare business, and the SPS business. At the time, we were on 5 ERPs, and over the last 2+ years, we've consolidated down into basically NetSuite as our global ERP, with one business left to go to move over to NetSuite next year in 2026.
Wow. Awesome. Maya, over to you.
Yeah, wonderful. Hello, my name is Maya Oak, and I am from Securitas Healthcare. So I'm the VP of Operations and Supply Chain, also lead quality and compliance at Healthcare. Like Jack mentioned, we are another business as part of Securitas AB Global. We came as part of the acquisition. We're a little bit of an unknown commodity because, as Jack mentioned, these were two big security businesses acquiring one another. And our results were always great, but with Securitas, we've grown about 60% over the last 3 years on our bottom line stone. So it's been a great match so far. So what does healthcare really do, right? If you look at our mission is basically to provide solutions to create safe, secure, and efficient care environments. To say it differently, we protect humans, patients, and caregivers, as well as assets within the healthcare ecosystem. So that's a little bit about how we fit in. We've basically had a similar challenge, which we'll go through, but we are consolidating, a handful of ERPs down to one. We are a global business. So as we go through this session, I can provide a little bit more insight what our challenges were and how we are getting on with it.
Actually, on that point, what is some of the context behind the transition from Black & Decker?
When we talk about context, essentially, like Jack mentioned, the security industry is a pretty large industry with a lot of players. So the driving factor was essentially conglomeration and bringing together these two businesses. But Stanley Security, which was our parent, did have a lot of businesses. And so we are trying to figure out how these all businesses play together now within Securitas AB.
Yeah, if you think about Stanley, right? Naturally, you would think of it as a tools business, right? And traditionally, the Securitas business, it grew up as a guarding or services business, right? But they wanted to diversify and become a technology business as well. So they've invested heavily into growing that technology side of the business, but they do want to focus on security. What we wake up every day is driving security, whether it's across man guards or human guarding, or it's healthcare and protecting assets and patients, or it's electronic security and protecting commercial businesses.
Wow, so that sounds like a very large operation. Can you give me some sense of the scale of the business in terms of employees, revenue streams, and locations? We talked about some of the different business units and products already.
Yeah, I mean, we're the products business is the smallest business of all of those. Maybe a bit complicated at times, but it is the smallest one. We're a global business though. We operate in 6 different currencies. We have about 330 employees. We operate out of 10 physical locations around the world, and we have presence, i.e., people in 14 different countries. All 4 brands go to market through a dealer channel. We do not sell through direct to customers. And as I mentioned earlier, our biggest customer, actually, or our biggest dealer, is the Securitas electronic security business.
Okay. Yeah. Well, similarly with Securitas Healthcare out here, we are a global business as well. We probably have a similar amount of countries that we operate in. When we talk about North America, we have 2 unique locations. And I say unique because we share a lot of locations with our parent company, and people who live around these offices go into these offices. One in Lincoln, Nebraska, where we manufacture some of our products, and one in Ottawa, Canada, where it is a software hub currently. We have one location right outside Tel Aviv, Israel. So that's a little bit of a geopolitical challenge at this point in time. But basically, our journey, we are less than $500 million. We are 500 to 600 people at any given point in time. We are a product of inorganic activity, acquisitions. So to have this operating system that operates on the same platform, so that we operate as one company is really important to us, and that's our journey of how we began going towards NetSuite.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. What kind of challenges were you facing with your previous system?
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about systems, we have 3 to 4 ERPs, and none of them operate the same way. They all do different things. So when we talk about inorganic activity, we have people who are operating these systems, and you may say that they are unique to those systems. So that's none of them look similar. So when you're talking about different product lines, we are managing these product lines very uniquely, and we can't manage them, as one business. So to me, that's philosophically the biggest challenge, without getting into the nitty-gritties and the tactical things which come with different ERPs. Having different ERPs just prohibits us acting as one company and streamlining our operations.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot of ETL. That's a lot of worrying about kind of controls and restrictions and who has access to what, and a lot of work to in this kind of transition to go through and simplify that, the operations. When you decided to move on to NetSuite, what functionality are you focused on taking advantage of right away?
Jack, you want to take that one first?
Yeah. I mean, we initially rolled out just sort of the out of the box functionality with sort of the cloud solution. When we rolled that out, we included things like customized customer statements, order verification, systematic delegation of authority and approvals, packing slip details being automated, things like that. That got us kind of the basics that we needed to run our business. But our business is changing. If you're in the security products business, you need to be converting your products to the cloud, to cloud-based products, and which we have done, right? So we have to be agile, we have to be flexible, and make sure we can support that changing market, and that is cloud, right? So we've rolled out things that can help us manage a global business. Like Amaya was saying, we're 4-product business on 4 different ERPs. We needed to get to one ERP, all looking the same, speaking the same language. So over the last couple of years, we've added things like fixed assets. We've added warehouse management, or WMS. The thing that we're in process of adding right now to support that cloud conversion is suite billing, right? So we want to make sure that we can support recurring revenue and make sure we're billing properly and automatically in the system. We're integrating it with VersaPay to accept credit cards, that kind of stuff. And then another thing we've done is suite projects. In my business, we have a lot of, and Amaya's as well, we have a lot of R&D resources. Yeah. They track projects in NetSuite, their hours. We wanted to automate. We wanted one place for them to put their time and automate the journal entry to help us with tracking the time and the capitalization of the development on those products, right? So it's been very helpful in adding those modules, those additional things to that base rollout.
That's fascinating. Now, I understand that some other elements of the businesses ran on SAP. I guess, Amaya, over to you. Why not go with SAP? Why was NetSuite a better fit for your business?
Yeah, I think to complement what Jack said, right? NetSuite, what basically appealed to us was it was a very light base. You could take planning and budgeting, and you could take basic operational capability, supply chain capability, and then you can add modules on top of that, modules that Jack mentioned. We are a small business. We are not a large business. So when we went over the prospecting of different ERPs, we figured out that running SAP, while maybe the final product could be fancier, better, whatever you want to call it, the horsepower it takes to run SAP for a business like ours, clearly we don't have. We would need more resources to manage that piece of software than actually to run our business. So NetSuite was really like in the sweet spot for us. Start slow, keep on adding different modules wherever you need them, and then you can try and integrate all these modules together.
Fascinating. And I guess, Jack, I mean, within that same consideration, what has been the impact of NetSuite on your business? I know you talked about kind of all the functions that you have taken on, but what's been the net impact as a result of implementing those additional capabilities?
Yeah, I mean, being on NetSuite has kind of helped us eliminate all, a lot of the challenges that we've been talking about, right? Just having multiple ERPs, inefficiencies in the process. So having one sort of cost-effective solution, right? If we were to stay on SAP, it's a lot of money there, a lot of time involved in adjusting our business to kind of, go with the market, right? So, we took that out of box solution, like I said, right? We added on those few modules. And we were able to adapt to the commercial changes in our business, i.e. growing the recurring and cloud-based stuff, better support the R&D process, drive some operational efficiencies with WMS, improve, and ultimately for me, selfishly, improve financial controls and sort of the accuracy that we were seeing by, using 4 ERPs.
Wow. So, I mean, Jack, that's a great point. If I can unpack that a little bit further, can you give us some sense of like, what are those gains? I mean, that accuracy, it can be measured in time. It can be measured in actual reporting. Give us some sense of the quantitative impacts there, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, from a quantitative perspective, you see time savings, right? I mean, it's just the transactional journal entries, the recs across multiple ERPs, and the back office accounting team spending much less time, on supporting that, right? We've probably, I think, have reduced about 1.5 FTEs out of our back office support function just by being on one good ERP that is NetSuite, right? We've automated the R&D project tracking all in one place, not only the time entry, but the journal entry, right? That saves time for our R&D team. And then, quite frankly, just going on one ERP and consolidating that we've saved on software money, right? And software costs, associated with 4 ERPs now down to 1. So we've saved dollars there. And ultimately, when we put in the warehouse management system, it really helped drive inventory controls a bit better, right? And a lot of the things we're doing with handhelds and a lot of the stuff we've attached to WMS we are seeing lower inventory, variances when we're doing stock takes in all of our different inventory processes.
Wow, those are real bottom line gains and operational efficiencies, helping your business be prepared to go into new challenges. It's fairly acquisitive space, as you've already just described. So making sure you understand exactly what those businesses are and being able to communicate that to shareholders and others is an amazing ability. I guess kind of looking to the future, AI is the buzzword of the day and every news, right? Can you tell me like what are you all thinking about in terms of using AI with NetSuite in the future?
So again, AI is pretty much a buzzword. So on the supply chain side, right? Some of the repetitive tasks I want to be able to automate with AI. When you talk about sending out RFQs, that would be a little bit of a low-hanging fruit. But then eventually, I really am hoping that we land in a sweet spot where we can do supply and demand planning a little bit more efficiently. It's very clunky at this point in time. And as we said, healthcare is learning how to walk with NetSuite right now. We went go live earlier this year in the United States, and then we're going to go live rest of the world next month. So those are a couple of areas that we have identified, a little bit of RFQ side as well as supply and demand planning. Hopefully that's where AI will give us the most benefit.
Now, you're both in the security space with AI, but coming over you, Jack, how are you all managing that conversation internally, right? Because it is about our information. You want the additional capabilities, you want the additional efficiencies, but you also want the controls as well. So how does that conversation look for you all? And how does it, how do you think about that in terms of a sensitive system like a NetSuite?
Yeah, I mean, in keeping with the AI, I mean, it's clearly changing everything we do, right? And so, how are we developing our next gen products? How are we providing, one of our products is data insights and data analytics, right? How do we better provide, data insights not only to our dealers, but our internal customers as well? How are we supporting the commercial initiatives in our business? We're not using it heavily, but it's exactly what Amaya said, right? I've been talking to my team on, how can we improve that supply and demand planning side of it, right? That would be very critical. It's very clunky and manual for us today. We're over ordering at times or we're under ordering at times, and it's because we aren't getting the sort of intelligence that we could be getting out of the system. It could help me with the financial forecast, not only on the supply chain side, but just on the financial side as well. Highlighting anomalies that we're seeing in the P&L and providing us some insights to help with forecasting. That would all be great. So we are having regular planning sessions, probably at least twice a year, on how can we use AI in the business, not only in those areas I just mentioned, but on the finance side as well. And NetSuite's going to play a very, very good role in that.
Awesome. And I guess, May, on the same topic, what are some of your top business priorities, finishing out this year and going to next year? And, how are you looking for NetSuite to really help you get there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for this year, go live is the top priority. I mean, if we don't go live real well in November, December close and the year close becomes really tricky. So it's all hands on deck at this point in time to close out the year successfully with NetSuite. When we talk about going to next year, we have a couple of things planned. WMS, we have not implemented. Supply demand module, we have not implemented in-house. So those are some of the things that we will stack on top of NetSuite that we're using right now. And then really not just next year, but next year and beyond. All of us use so many different pieces of software, right? Just to name a few. And I'm going to throw out a lot of three-letter acronyms. You got the PLM, you got the CRM, you got WMS. All these systems need to start talking to each other really well. And that's where AI is going to really play a part. It's not just going to be within NetSuite, but then how do you take these different pieces of the puzzle and then match them together? We are looking at a software that actually looks at supply chain risks out in the market. Hey, is there a capacity issue for wafers of a certain size? How does that impact chips? If that's the case, how do we pivot to a different design right away because we've got this early information, so now that we can use a different chip. So all these things are on our 3 to 5 year roadmap. We're closing out this year and then implementing a few more pieces of the puzzle next year within NetSuite is kind of the plan right now.
That's awesome, yeah. And Jack, I mean, just to round us out, if you were to recommend NetSuite to a business colleague, what would you say about NetSuite or that NetSuite has done for your business?
Yeah, I mean, we had, as I said, we had 3 businesses that were acquired. Technically 4 businesses that were acquired, but the 4th one's not on NetSuite yet. But the 3 that are, they were operating independently. We needed an ERP that allowed us to bring those 3 businesses together, right? We've done a good job of integrating it from the platform perspective, from a product perspective, but it wasn't being done, from the back office, if you will, right? So we needed to have that, to continue to operate these business on a global basis. We needed it to be flexible so we could add new subsidiaries, new currencies. We needed a cloud-based system. So NetSuite was perfect for that. It was cost effective. It was cloud-based. It was agile or flexible to, allow us to get on, one platform or one ERP in a fairly short time frame. It did what I said earlier, right? It helped us create efficiencies in our operations, accuracy in the finance side of the house. And, I think continuing to explore potential other use cases with other modules to expand how we use it. As Amaya just mentioned, for us, really important to have a full integration of the different softwares we have, whether you're talking about all the way from the CRM with an opportunity to the end with order to cash or whatever, right? We need to connect that. We can use NetSuite to do that. Our dealers need a portal to come into. We want to continue to expand how we use Suite Commerce. So definitely want to do that. And then looking at some other things, maybe planning, budgeting, that kind of stuff. I recommend it because it's flexible. It's you can make changes, you can add things to it, it adapts to your business, and you can do that relatively in a short period of time in a pretty cost-effective way.
Awesome. Well, Maya and Jack, we reached the end of our time together. Really appreciate you all coming on to talk about your experience with NetSuite and in your businesses. Wish you all the great amount of success. See you guys later.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, awesome. Well, welcome into our quick demo here. My name is Vince Kroll. I'm a CPA located here in Austin, Texas. Been with NetSuite for a little over 6 years now. For the past year, I've really been focusing in on the securities products industry, including security, alarm, fire, sprinkler, access control companies. So really kind of digging into the industry, learning a lot, and excited to show y'all some of what NetSuite has to offer. So, as you know, a huge benefit to that type of company is just the ability to bring sales teams, operations, and finance all together. So everything from CRM to project management for large installs to field service management to schedule techs and getting them their mobile app out in the field, and all those things kind of feed into financials. So here you can see on the controller dashboard, everything's focused to me as a controller, but right away, something that might be important to some companies in the industry is quarterly recurring revenue, or being able to track monthly recurring revenue, other recurring revenue metrics. I also see I've got a bunch of reminders here to keep me on track. Those will be focused if I switch to sales role. They'd be focused for the sales team. And then of course, global search is throughout NetSuite. So if we wanted to look up a specific customer, maybe Stanley's Donuts, one of the customers that we have multiple locations that we're supporting, with multiple service lines, including alarm, and sprinkler. So it's really quick and easy to use that global search to find anything in NetSuite. We'll do that throughout the demo. But so I found my Stanley's Donuts customer. They've got a couple different sub customers here, a couple contacts. So these customer records, contain primary information up top. You can always create custom fields here. So if there's something specific you want to track about your customers, you absolutely can create those, even as an end user in NetSuite. So I've got a couple different Stanley's Donuts locations. Let's check out the Man Shack location. So it's got its own special, or separate customer location. If you are, maybe you're billing Stanley's parent customer, you can consolidate sub-customer invoices, so they just receive one customer, or one invoice, sorry, per that top-level customer. You can send them a statement for all of their sub-customers and all the work that you've done there. And then if we go to the sales tab, we can see all the related transactions for Stanley's Man Shack. In this case, we've got a sales order and then a revenue arrangement to help track and recognize revenue for the sales order or contract. So here we've got a couple different subscription lines for this contract with Stanley's Man Shack. We've got some monitoring, Alarmo Pro cloud subscription that we're reselling, and some sprinkler service. So this is good to note, if you are reselling any subscriptions, whether that's alarm, monitoring, anything else, you can import those vendor bills. So I've seen, a lot of companies, they'll have a spreadsheet with hundreds of lines, whether that's from alarm.com or Alula or other companies like that. And then you can assign each line to individual customers, whether you want to bill that at the customer specific rates or to markup, or just track the cost side for some customer specific profitability. It looks like we need to update the billing schedules, so we can do that real quick on our sales order here. While it's popping open, you might notice some tax that was calculated. So now NetSuite does have a sales tax engine as well. Here we've got a couple different billing schedules already set up. Maybe all of these are quarterly. So we'll go ahead and update these billing schedules so that they all say, quarterly. You can create your own custom billing schedules as well. All right, cool. Now we've got the billing schedule updated. So this is going to, every quarter, on when we're supposed to bill this customer, they'll go ahead and create or propose that invoice for us basically just to review, approve, and send out to our customer. You can see revenue recognition start and end date. So even though we're billing every quarter, we can recognize revenue on a monthly basis, and then track and report on that recurring revenue. Speaking of revenue, let's go ahead and check out our revenue recognition forecast. So that's just one of the many revenue recognition reports. Again, really easy to find using that global search there. Let's go ahead and update some of these date filters to get a look at, how we're expected to kind of recognize revenue over the next year or so. So we can go ahead and spread this report and many of the other reports in NetSuite out by accounting periods. Any financial reports you can do that with. But we've also got other filters here, and then you can always customize the report using the report builder tool in NetSuite. So if we needed to pull in any, custom fields, anything like that, really easy to do in the system. So now we can see all of our recurring revenue amounts, broken out. We can see future revenues by month. If we've got Stanley Donuts, we've got a couple subscriptions with their, headquarters. We've got a couple projects that we're expected to recognize some revenue in this current month for. And then we can see the Stanley's, Manchac, and Lamar locations and all of their subscriptions there. So this is kind of the basis for any of that, recurring monthly revenue reporting, anything that any of the banks, folks like that need to see. So since all that's being tracked in NetSuite, we can get those reports out, and you'll just work with your implementation team to kind of tweak these to fit any of your needs. Awesome. So, we already talked about how this connects with the sales team too. So just a quick look at those dashboards before we hop into the operations side of things. But in this case, I've got, all of my different opportunities here, some reminders, KPIs focused to me as sales team member or account manager. And then if we switch over to the project manager side, this will help out folks with those larger install projects. So you can see, time to approve in this case, some opportunities that need scoping. So this is the ability to connect the sales team with the operations team to get a little bit, more accurate quotes. They can scope out that correct level of effort, and you can have, nice profitable contracts. Now let's take a look at the field service side of things. So switching dashboards again, now we're in more of a field service role. So this is more operations focused. It's nice I don't have any escalated service orders, but I do have quite a few tasks to complete, some customers to bill. So again, if you're billing time and materials, that can automatically flow in along with any other subscriptions and things like that you're billing. Get reminders for those or just automatically have those invoices be sent out. I can have a nice list of my service orders or cases that I can search through, service calls by asset there. So I can, make sure that if maybe I don't like that I have 51 calls with this one piece of equipment or system, maybe I can recommend changing those. Maybe those are really profitable calls for me, and we'll keep those contracts going. All right, awesome. So, and then here we've got just another list on our dashboard. This is all the field service assets. So our customers, sites or individual pieces of equipment or systems. So let's say, one of our customer calls in, it's Stanley's Donuts. I can just start typing Stanley there. And it's going to pull up, all my here. Let's go ahead and finish since we've got a couple stands in the system. I've got all my Stanley's Donuts locations, so those individual sites, and then some individual pieces of equipment. Some NetSuite customers will just track that at the system level, but you've got some options. So in this case, if Stanley's called in, they said, oh, hey, it's from the Camelback location. We're calling about our Honeywell control panel. So you could really easily identify that piece of equipment. Maybe you wanted to pop that equipment record open so you can pull open that field service asset in a separate tab. You could also just go ahead and start creating that service order or case, right from your dashboard as well. So while that case is pulling up, let's go ahead and review our field service asset. We can see that it's located at the 825 East Camelback Phoenix Stanley's location. Even has lat and long in there, so that's going to help when it comes to, getting estimates as far as how long it's going to take our technicians to get there, and then tracking their location when we get to the scheduling board. And then here on the field service tab, we can see maybe some install projects where that equipment was installed, any previous cases. So we can come through, review everything, get a full history, figure out if it's something maybe we could address over the phone, or if we do need to send a tech out. You can also have a list of all the active subscriptions associated with this piece of equipment. So in this case, we've got a commercial subscription and a subscription for some inspections. So we can go back to that case that we created right off our dashboard. It already has that associated serial number piece of equipment at the location associated with it. It could pull in contact information, from our customer record as well. In this case, I didn't have that pre-populated, so that didn't flow in for me. We've got different field service types. So in this case, this is a repair. So it's going to have all of the correct repair forms available on the technician's mobile app when they get out in the field. We've got a couple other basic types here, but you can always create, some folks will have sprinkler install versus sprinkler maintenance versus sprinkler repair, or maybe extinguisher inspections. So you can create those different types of cases, and then that's going to drive what your technicians see in their mobile app. Now down here, if I knew the correct tech that I want to go ahead and assign, I could select them from our list there. Let's go ahead and send them out on the 18th. So really easy to throw them on the schedule. Maybe they want them there between 9 and noon. I can, add some skills that I want to make sure the technician that I assign has. So I could go ahead and just select, multi-select a couple of those skills. You might have seen that number of, qualified techs update here. So maybe now I know who to schedule, or we can leave this unscheduled, throw that on the scheduling board for the dispatch team to take a look at. I forgot to update a message. Let's actually notify the team what's going on. So panel seems to be failing. Please inspect and fix the issue. So they just want somebody to come out, park in the garage, code, whatever. So you can leave, notes. Also, you can pull in notes from either that field service asset record we were looking at or the customer itself into the mobile app to, update your tech of anything that they need to see there. So we can go ahead and save our service order. So we created our service order ticket. Let's go take a look at how our techs are doing and make sure that we can get this scheduled, and get that Honeywell panel working again. All right, so here we've got our scheduling board. So you can see here, let's zoom into it, into the Phoenix area, since that's where we're going to be working today. So you can see these different colored rectangles. Those represent our service tickets or service orders. So I can see I've got a couple that are open, a couple that are completed in that area. I've got one down here as well. It's already assigned to Alton. So you can click in, get some good, details about your cases. It looks like we've had some issues with some of those other panels before. So, but yeah, so really easy to get some insight there. You can also highlight those, and then you saw that highlight my Stanley's Donut task over here in my list of unassigned tasks. There's also a filter, so I could have just started to type, Stanley in there, and then that would have filtered my list down to just things that included STA, or in this case, my Stanley's Donut task. Then there's some additional filters I could have filtered by region, right, by skills. So really just giving your dispatch team tools to find the right folks for the right job. So they'll be able to filter those unassigned tasks. They'll also be able to filter their teams of people. So I've got this filtered to a single Phoenix region now. Maybe I want to filter down to some of the skills that we were looking for too. So I think commercial and level one. You can see Ben Castles is available, some other folks. So that looks good. Let's go ahead and assign that task that we were looking at. So again, I can draw that square around it, find that in our list here of unassigned tasks, and then just quickly drag that onto, I've got a couple, I guess, Stanley's Donuts tasks. So you can even, since I had two tasks for that location, one that I'd created earlier, and then the new one that we just created, easy to add both of those to the scheduling board at the same time. And then maybe since there's going to be some efficiencies there, we can shorten, these tasks. So easy to go ahead and, make some little changes and things like that to our scheduling board. Even adjust times if needed. Move different things around to make sure that we've got plenty of time to handle Stanley's today. And then additionally, maybe it looks like he's going to need some help out there at that Stanley's location. So you can actually just make a quick copy, add some other folks to that task as well. And then when you look down here, well, now we can see we've also assigned Horace as well as Ben to our task. So pretty easy to find the right text that you're looking for. You can also search and filter through all of your assigned tasks as well. And then these colors are helpful in scheduling too. So, you can come in here. In this case, we've got a key. So it looks like red is our high priority tasks, yellow are medium, blue are low. So you could come in here, maybe just filter to your high priority unassigned tasks. Just that's how your team gets to work. Start scheduling those. And then you can see here, once our changes are made, I can go ahead and save those. And then that'll push notifications out to all my technicians. You can also email, our customers to let them know who's going to be on site and when to expect them. And then if you do leverage one of NetSuite's like text message partners, you could send text updates as well. So really easy and quick to use the scheduling board to schedule all your texts. And then with some of NetSuite's new AI tools and some of the partners, some of the things that I've seen NetSuite implementation partners come up with AI, you can even do some automated dispatch and scheduling. So now that we've got Ben scheduled for that job, let's go ahead and take a look at what it looked like from the mobile perspective. And I always just like to pop this open right in my NetSuite dashboard. And we'll make this phone sized for more of that mobile experience so you can see what we're talking about here. But so as soon as Ben logs into his mobile app, and it's going to look like this on his phone, he could pull up a task map where you can see, a map view of all the tasks. In this case, Ben's kind of scheduled all over the country. But he can click in, get in, a quick update on how long it's going to take to get there if he wants to, shoot that contact on that related task, a quick text to let them know, that they're going to be arriving. And then he's also got a nice little agenda view, so he can see all of Monday's tasks there. Tuesday, I think we scheduled this one for Thursday. So let's scroll through, all of Ben's tasks for the week. Awesome. And we can find that repair that we scheduled at Stanley's Donuts. Great. So yeah, panel seems to be failing. Please inspect and fix the issue. So this is that task that we've just been looking at. So now Ben can again, pull up the map here, call, give him a quick, hey, be there in about 12 minutes, update. You can also hit, let me pop this open. So if, on the mobile phone, that could pull up a Maps app, so that, you could even get directions right from that link in the NetSuite mobile app there. Oops, and let me go back to our task. Cool. So now Ben can come in, hit start on that task. Go ahead and say that he's going to go start his travel. So you can track different types of times, in this case, like travel versus labor versus, time spent to go get, additional parts from a warehouse or from Home Depot or whatever. You'll also notice back here, this is why I like to do this, directly on the browser instead of the mobile app, because you can see kind of picture in picture. Back in the dispatch board, they're notified that Ben's on site to that Stanley's task. So let's say, fast forward in the future, Ben gets on site, took, I think, what was it supposed to be, 15 minutes or something. He can go ahead and enter a little memo there that can flow onto the timesheet. Another thing, if he's got voice to text on an iPhone or an Android, could use that. That's always popular with all the text and everything. So that they don't have to, get their gloves off. They can just do a quick voice to text. Now that we're on site too, Ben can note that he's starting his labor. And then review all the details about the asset. So here we've got some basic info about that Honeywell control panel, but you can see all these other fields. And you can pull any of that information from the asset record, from the customer record that Ben's going to need to go out there, get his repair done. Same with this contact. We've just got the basic Stanley's Donuts contact there. But if there's a specific site contact, he can know exactly who to ask for when he gets on site. Then there's different checklists, in this case, safety, make sure he's got maybe some shoe protectors or whatever else, keeping their floors clean. You can leave some notes, collect signatures out in the field. So in this case, job safety checklist, but any different checklists and forms that you need to track out in the field, you can get those, or add those to the mobile app. You can make those required. Now that we've done our required safety, we can come in here, complete our repair. Maybe we just replaced a quick power source or whatever that was faulty, so we could do that. We can also come in here and find that a picture maybe of the panel. So I'm on a laptop, so it just takes me to my files, but it also would give me the option on a phone to snap a quick picture too. So really easy to take pictures out in the field of repairs, inspections, anything else that you need to, and even include that downstream on a little inspection report. Again, we talked about that tie into inventory. So now if I did have to add that power supply, pulled that from my van, I can go ahead and add that in directly from my mobile app. You'll notice a little barcode scanner, so I won't pull up in my camera, but you can even scan directly from the mobile app. You can also see that I've got 52 of those available in my truck. So if I needed more than one, plenty of inventory in there. So nice to have that real-time view into truck inventory in this case. And then that can flow onto a sales order that's you're going to get ultimately bill your customer. So again, check additional, asset repair history, job status. We were able to complete the job this time, but if you couldn't get access, needed some additional labor or parts, you could leave those notes and have that, flow into a little workflow to get that follow-up appointment rescheduled. We'll say Vince was on site. He went ahead and signed off here. The technician can sign off. So again, just making sure that you're getting good verification. Everybody's happy with the work done. Maybe Ben had to, pay to park in that garage. You can enter an expense report right from the mobile app as well that can flow in for approvals. If you need to add support, if you need that to flow onto a customer invoice, all really easy to do, kind of streamline pre-built workflows in the system. You can add additional files. You can even create a follow-up task. So maybe we got to come back out tomorrow to train people how to reset the panel or something. I could assign that to myself, or maybe Horace can come back on his own. I could just go ahead and assign that to Horace. So you can even create tasks from the mobile app, even more things that you can do and customize. Looks like we were able to complete that repair. We can go ahead and mark that complete. And then we'll see that actually get marked complete when we come back to our dispatch board. So it does take, a couple seconds to update there. But those updates do take place pretty quickly. So we'll see that shortly, turn gray like this other completed task here. If we wanted to, we could go ahead and download the service report. So this system can automatically create service reports too, based on that, that technician input out in the field. And then these could automatically, be sent out to your customer. So including all the labor, all the expenses we entered, that initial, an issue, any kind of items we in or needed to finish that repair, before and after pictures, really the complete package. So saving teams a ton of time, really in all aspects, from scoping and creating that correct quote up front, to managing contracts, managing monthly recurring revenue, getting bills out. And then when it comes time to schedule folks, whether that's for service, um, whether that's for new installs or inspections, everything's going to flow here to that same scheduling board. Make it really easy to get the right tech out to your customer location and keep those customers happy. So thanks a lot. I hope you're excited. There's so much more that the system can do for folks in your industry.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today. We really appreciate your time. We have a couple minutes left here. We have Vince Kroll on. Hi, Vince.
Yeah, hey, how's it going?
Good, good. I see we have a couple of questions in the Q&A chat, so let me ask those so that everybody here can hear your answers to them, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the first question is, how does this fit the small guy using QuickBooks and doing reoccurring billing and credit card check payments?
Yeah, so it depends on how small, I'd say. But I've definitely worked with some small guys that this has really helped out. So a really good next step after QuickBooks, if you're not getting like the level of reporting, or like you're saying, like the level of help with recurring billing, maybe automated credit card payments too for some of your residential customers that might be on auto pay or whatever. So we definitely have solutions for that. And I've seen NetSuite help out companies that have, 15 or so techs. When it gets smaller than 15, 10, 15 techs, I'd say sometimes the value isn't necessarily there, but always worth exploring for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I see another question here. Are there any ways to have AI help automate the scheduling and dispatch process?
Yeah, and the answer there is for sure. So as AI continues to develop and there's cool new tools, NetSuite's continuing to invest in that, bring it onto the platform where it makes sense. So I think that there's going to be more and more opportunities to do that directly in NetSuite in the future. Right now, though, today there's something called the NetSuite AI connector. So that's technically we'll use a little jargon here. It's an MCP tool. Really what that is allows you to connect to your NetSuite data through your favorite large language model or LLM like ChatGPT or Claude. You log in through your NetSuite login, so it still honors all your permissions. So if you can't create an invoice, you're not going to be able to do that with Claude or ChatGPT. If you can't schedule someone or dispatch them, you couldn't do that with Claude or ChatGPT. So I've built a little like MCP tool there that's actually been able to staff technicians based on their location, their experience, their skills, their availability, all those things. So it definitely a use case for that NetSuite AI connector. And then there's some NetSuite partners that have built some solutions that use AI, both for scheduling and dispatch, and then also a little bit on the routing. So if you're lucky enough to have a tech that could go out and do a few calls in a day, they can help, kind of determine the most efficient path there as well using some cool AI tools.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Vince. I
Yeah.
know we're right at time, but we have a couple more questions. Let's see if we can get through them real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, this one says, can you handle multiple brands or multiple branches in the same instance of NetSuite?
Yeah, definitely. So that's something that we see pretty often, right? Is you'll have a company that might have acquired a couple alarm companies or maybe an access control fire safety company down the way and still want to be able to support their customers with that same brand that they know and love. So you can definitely set up multiple branches, multiple brands, and then even different invoice forms and formats to help support that too. So, kind of keeping that look and feel the same for all your customers, and then still using the, single NetSuite to manage all of those different branches.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool.
Awesome. All right, one last question. Do some customers use alternate FSM solutions?
Yeah, and definitely you'll see even in the ESA ecosystem. So there are, quite a few companies, large and small, that use NetSuite Field Service. They love it, right? There's some advantages to not having to deal with any API or any integrations and things like that. It's nice to have everything on the same tool. But other customers, for different reasons, right, just kind of depends on their operations, have found some other field service tools work a little bit better for them. And that's also fine. Like, NetSuite's one of the easiest systems to integrate to. So if you do find something out there, talk to somebody in y'all's network that they really like. You could always integrate that to NetSuite, but there are, plenty of ESA customers using, NetSuite Field Service as well.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds super good.
Cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions we have today. Yeah, thank you so much to everyone that joined the webinar. Thank you, Vince, for your time. And thanks to your team for putting all of this together for us.
Yeah, thanks to all your members. Everybody keep up the hard work, and hopefully I'll see you at the ESA conference.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day.